Broadcasting from the Cannon Motor Studio on Central Avenue in downtown Laurel, Mississippi. This is Good Morning Pine Belt with host Ben Winpigler on SuperTalk Laurel 99.3.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Good morning, Jones County. Thank you for tuning in this morning, wherever you may be, on SuperTalk Laurel 99.3 or the SuperTalk app, or maybe you're online. Wherever you are, thank you for listening. Great show for you today and tomorrow. But before we bring in our first guest for today, I do want to mention again, always we're coming to you live from the Cannon Motor Studio. Great big thanks to our studio sponsors over there at Cannon Motors. Great people to go check out for a new or used car. But before I bring in our first guest, I do want to mention that this segment of Good Morning Pine Belt is brought to you by Dixie Electric Power Association, a member-owned electric co-op that offers broadband internet. If you're a Dixie member and you don't have DE FastLink yet, then I promise you're missing out. All right, joining us for our first segment today from just over at the Sawmill Square Mall from Optimal Performance Physical Therapy is Mr. Clark Raspberry and Miss Lori Landrum. And thank y'all for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Dan.
All right, so let's jump right in. For those of our listeners who may not know, first of all, where Optimal Performance Physical Therapy is, where are y'all? Because, I mean, Sawmill Square Mall is a big place.
Right.
Where exactly are y'all?
Well, I call it the center court, the main entrance. If you go in there, we're to the left. We have sidewalk entry. And when patients call, we actually say we're the one across from Classic Cookie or across from the car wash. So however you want to do that. But, so easy entry into the clinic and out. So that's where we are.
There you go. Y'all are right there by the Sears Ward Insurance Classic Cookie, right there in a great spot. All right, so we were talking off air about some new things that y'all are doing, and physical therapy. You know, people may say, hey, I only need physical therapy after surgery. I really only need, I've got something's hurting. I don't really know when I need physical therapy. So, Clark, I'm going to start with you. For somebody who's listening who are like, I don't really know when. I thought it was only for people who need surgery, who had surgery coming off of this, or I'm not old. I don't need physical therapy yet. When does somebody know that they need physical therapy?
You pretty much know when something starts hurting. Obviously, surgery is a lot of what we see, but the day-to-day stuff, the guy who uses a hammer all day long and his elbow starts hurting, the kid who sprained her ankle and is just not getting better, the retired guy who wants to get back on the golf course but his back's just hurting him so bad because he has arthritis. So all of those things we address. So from the neck down, if something's going on, we treat it.
So y'all have both been doing this a long time. I know, Clark, I think you said you've been in 15 years?
Hold on. 23.
23. Lori, for you?
30.
30, okay.
No,
so
I'm sorry, Ben. 21.
21,
yes.
Okay, 21.
It's hard to keep up.
All right, so y'all have seen lots of things and seen, all different kind of changes in the physical therapy world. And one of them, I want to jump to it because I think this is something awesome and something cool in technology. Speaking of changes, Laura, y'all have something now where it's a pretty new technology from what I understand. So tell us about this new way that y'all can treat patients that it maybe not be as, hey, you're out there working your knee. It's a little bit different.
I think you're talking about the stem wave therapy.
Yes.
So it is a new technology nationwide. We're one of 3 clinics in Mississippi that currently have this technology.
Wow.
It's without getting too technical, it uses acoustic waves to activate the body's natural healing mechanism.
Okay.
It's non-invasive. There are no side effects. It's a 5-minute treatment, no recovery time. And what we have found, we've had it for about 3 months, and generally speaking, someone will experience some pain relief after the first visit. And then, we might see someone care plan for 8 to 10 visits. And at that time, if they're having some knee arthritis, Clark had a patient that went to the doctor, was scheduled for an injection, and said, "Hey doc, I'm feeling great. I don't need that injection."
Wow.
Seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
With
And then
this technology.
I had a back pain patient this morning. He is finishing his care plan. Air conditioning guy, up and down, has had chronic back pain for years, and he's like, "I haven't had any pain this past week. Not had any pain."
That's awesome. So, without getting too deep into the weeds, how exactly does that work? Because I mean, I've kind of seen the machine, and really, it almost looks like an ultrasound.
Yeah, it looks like an ultrasound. Sounds like an MRI machine. If you're in our clinic, you can probably hear it in the background. But it locates areas of inflammation, and those acoustic waves decrease that inflammation. They stimulate your body's own stem cells to come to the area to help regenerate that tissue. It's actually a regenerative therapy. Over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, it's going to get in there and heal those tissues.
Wow.
And a lot of times, I mean, obviously with severe arthritic conditions, we can't replace the cartilage back into a knee.
Right.
Or whatever area. But what we can do with this technology is improve the actual quality of that joint, the tissues around it, just the health of that joint. We can help improve, like I said, the structures around it and, inside the joint.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's one of the things that y'all do. But y'all do a lot of things and treat a lot of things. Clark, what's one thing that maybe y'all treat in the physical therapy clinic that people are like, "Oh, I didn't know physical therapists did that"?
I'd like to start with headaches.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of people go this doctor, that doctor, which physicians are needed, obviously, but tried this medicine. The medicine doesn't make them feel well. Long story short, I mean, most people don't know that physical therapy can treat and help headaches.
Wow.
And we see a good bit of it. And it's one of those deals where we can get them better in 3 or 4 weeks. And so at that point, a lot of times these stress, chronic headache patients will come back. So in 6 months, we see them again, but they're off their medicine or they decrease the amount of medicine they take. And, who wants to be on medication?
Yeah.
Side effects and all that. A lot of, chronic migraines and those kind of situations, those can be hard to treat. Medication is obviously needed.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from that, but most times they're either cervicogenic headaches or tension headaches, or it could be coming from the upper back.
Okay.
And we use that with manual therapy. Some manipulation, dry needling is helping a lot with those kind of conditions.
Yeah, well, see, I had no idea that you could do things like that.
And to elaborate on that, I mean, from shoulder, elbow, knee, hip, back, all of it. So we see a good mix of everything. And two, in the elderly, there's falls, there's balance issues, and we bring those patients come in too, and we work on their balance and get them stronger.
Yeah.
And,
All right. So one thing that we were talking about off air is, people are like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to go." They're not really going to be able to tell anything about what I need unless we do an MRI, or I don't have a note from a doctor, and that I'm going to have to wait a year if I don't get a note from a doctor. Lori, that's first of all, you don't necessarily have to have an MRI or a note from a doctor.
That's right. Mississippi is now a direct access state, which is a great thing that saves a lot of time, a lot of money. Patients don't have to get a lot of imaging that they may not need. We have extensive training in evaluating musculoskeletal conditions.
Yeah.
We are the experts. We like to think of ourselves.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that we're just as effective in evaluating some back issues as an MRI in diagnosing that.
Okay.
And then, when you're talking about how to get to us, you can just give us a call and we can get you in there usually within that same week. And to expound a little bit on what kind of conditions we treat that you may not know is, as we get older, when you start getting into even 40s and 50s, we stop getting off the floor, we stop moving like we should, and a lot of times that will lead to a lot of pain and dysfunction, and sometimes you have to get off the floor, and that's something that physical therapists can help with.
Okay.
We can, evaluate what deficits you have that are limiting that, show you things, little things. A lot of times it's just small things to add to your daily routine.
Yeah.
To improve your just daily function and to avoid getting into the problems that sometimes we get into as we get older.
Well, I may need to come see y'all because I'm almost 30, but with 2 kids, I'm up and off the floor all the time, and sometimes I'll get up and I'm like, ooh, that was easier 6 years ago. That was easier 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you walk into any PT clinic, really, but ours specifically, you walk in there and look around at the patients are there, you'll see the kid with the surgical knee.
Yeah.
You'll see the middle-aged guy with impingement in his shoulder who wants to play golf, and then you'll see someone who's here because they've been falling or they've got these conditions that Lori's talking about. So you see
all ages.
Yeah, you go from a shoulder on a kid to an elderly patient who's had some falls. So it's all of it.
There you go. Well, Clark, Lori, I told y'all let go quick. It was easy. If somebody's listening and they're like, hey, I really need to go check them out, we know where you're located. How can they get in touch with you? Where can they find out more about you?
They can check out our website, optimalperformancept.com. They can call us at 601-342-2344, and we are on the social medias.
There you go. And if you like their website and you're like, man, I need one of those, call me. I know a guy. All right, we'll be right back. Good morning, Pie Belt from the Cannon Motor Studio.
You're tuned in to Good Morning Pine Belt on SuperTalk Laurel 99.3.
All right, here we go. Good morning, Pine Belt. We are back live here from the Cannon Motors Studio in beautiful, historic downtown Laurel, Mississippi. Our thanks to Clark Raspberry and Lori Landrum there from Optimal Performance PT. Go check them out today. Great people that will make you feel welcome and not pressured when you go in there. All right, before we bring in our next guest, I do want to mention that this segment of Good Morning Pine Belt is brought to you by Magnolia State Bank. Don't forget they are soon to be Bank First. We are working on getting an interview with the president, Chris Mangum, of Magnolia State Bank and the president of Bank First to talk about that merger. But it's still the hometown service you know and trust. You go check them out today, and they will still take care of you. Nothing's going to change except for the name. All right, well, it is getting close to August. That means we are getting close to probably the most exciting time of the year down here in the South, and for the next few months, starting towards the end of August, we're going to be all high school football all the time. I know we had Coach Ryan Ernst there from Laurel High School in last week, so we are working through the coaches here in Jones County. So our next coach from Northeast Jones High School is Coach Ryan Milner. And, Coach, thanks for joining us this morning.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, well, we'll jump right in. Just kind of, I know we were talking right off air. Y'all haven't quite started. Y'all are still kind of in summer workout mode right now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We'll start official practice next Monday. Jones County Schools doesn't start having students till Friday, so we're kind of still in a summer workout mode, trying to get a few last workouts in.
Yeah.
And then transition into preseason.
There you go. All right, Coach, well, I want to look back before we jump into this upcoming football season first and then look back at next year. I actually was watching the news last night, and they did the special was on Northeast last night. And one thing that they mentioned that last year was really kind of reminiscent of the Northeast Jones of old. I think everybody, if you're from Jones County, you've been here a long time, everybody remembers in the mid to late 90s when Coach Wayne Graves was there and the whole staff was there at Northeast, and they were really a powerhouse. And for the last probably, 15 or so years, they've had their ups and downs, but unfortunately more downs. But last year, y'all really came and had a great season. So let's talk a little bit about last year first. What was kind of that change? Because it was that your first or second season?
My first year.
First year. So what was kind of that change when y'all came in?
I think it had to do with just the kids coming together, believing in each other. Really nothing that I did, but trying to instill in them that they need to play for their teammate more than they need to play for themselves.
Right.
We had some really good senior leadership, along with having a great coaching staff that got them ready on a weekly basis. But you could really tell in some of those games later in the year that were really, really close that we won by one score.
Yeah.
I think there were 4 of those that we won by one score, and had to come back, had to drive 90 yards in some of those games to win those games. There was a group of kids that just they didn't freak out.
Yeah.
They knew that, hey, as long as we got time on the clock, we keep doing what we've been coached to do. As long as we stay in it, we got a chance. And I think that was one of the biggest changes, just that belief system in each other. Not so much themselves,
right?
Because, in today's age, it's all about me. And trying to build that team cohesiveness and unit, and that, hey, even I may not be having a good day, but I'm going to be my best for my teammate.
Absolutely, because, I believe, and I'm sure you agree, football is the ultimate team sport. If one person is not doing their job, the whole thing breaks down. And I want to come back to, and we'll get into this season here in a minute, but I want to come back to something you said. In this day and age, especially in college football, with everything that these players are seeing, and honestly is getting into high school football, the NIL age, how do you combat that with these students? I honestly, we probably haven't seen it much as we have maybe in the bigger states, but how do you go about that? Because like you said, it is such a me culture, and not just obviously the NFL, but in college football, and that's who these kids look up to.
Yeah, it's just breaking what they see as they think is normal, and it's constantly on a daily basis. They hear the same thing from me. They hear the same thing from our assistant coaches. All those things, and it's just a daily thing that we have to remind them of. And we have some really good kids out there at Northeast Jones, and they're hardworking kids. And seeing the success we did have last year, I think that's helped carry over the things that we've been talking to them, preaching to them, all those things, and they saw some success off of it. So I think that's going to help us heading into this year. Absolutely,
because like you said, when they see that, when it's not just, hey, doing all this talking, and, hey, we're actually winning, we can do something, that makes a big difference. Well, Coach, let's jump into this year. Just looking at y'all's schedule, and last year y'all went 8-3. But y'all are starting out. We talked about this with Coach Ernst last week. Y'all are starting out with a pretty tough stretch here. South Jones, West Jones, Newton County, Lawrence County, Seminary. Y'all are just diving right into the competition, aren't you?
Yeah, you win 8 games. Not a lot of people call you, and you have to call them. And they look at us moving up to 5A. So we're 5A now.
Yeah.
Won 8 games last year. Some of those games we've been able to get in the past in non-district. They didn't call, and when I called, they said no.
Yeah.
But that's okay too. Of course, we start out with South. I went to East, graduated from East in '98. When I was there, if South wasn't in our division, we played South the first Thursday every year.
Right.
So me and Coach Harrington got together, tried to start that again, which we were able to. Then we go out to So-So, which is always a very tough test. And then I think the next 3 are very, very good football teams. Newton County used to be in our district. Lawrence County has a new coach, Coach Merchant. He's going to do a great job getting that program turned around. And then Seminary is always good.
Yes.
Coach Evans does a really good job over there. They always have some athletes. So all those games are going to test us, and that's kind of why the next week we took a bye week before we head into region. Hopefully to just recuperate, not so much try to get people healthy.
Yeah.
But we're not as deep as some of the teams that we will play.
Okay.
So we stuck that in there. It worked out well for us last year. And then we'll start region play, which will be a whole new thing for us as far as where we travel, who we play.
Yeah.
It'll be a different look of our fans that have been following us the last couple of years in 4A as far as the opponent that we play. I think we'll look a little bit more like the opponents that we play.
Yeah.
They have really good players, don't get me wrong. But we'll look a little bit the same offensively, defensively, things like that. But I'm looking forward to it. If we can get through the first 5 weeks, stay healthy, and then give ourselves a shot going into region when it really matters.
Yeah. Well, one thing that Coach Ernst said, and I believe I've heard this from every coach, that schedules their things this way, you really want to test your team at the beginning of the season, not the end of the season, right?
Oh yeah, you want to definitely see what you got. Especially we have some spots offensively and defensively where we'll be young. Not so much sometimes young age-wise, but experience-wise. And then to test those kids and our unit as a whole against really good competition you know, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And to see where we're at heading into what's going to be a tough region,
yeah,
bumping up to 5A and things like that. So.
Absolutely. All right, so let's jump into that because you mentioned some of the, you know, you got some, not maybe like you said, young age-wise, but experience-wise. What are, and I know it's hard for a coach to pick out players and everything, but fans who are listening, just fans of football, fans of Northeast, what are maybe, you know, 3 or 4 key players that they're like, okay, you really need to focus in on this person?
Yeah, okay. Defensively, probably right now heading in, our most experienced bunch is our front 7 on defense. D-linemen, all 4 of them are coming back.
That's awesome.
They're really, really good players. You got Carson Lyons, Brandon Broadhead, Percy Taylor, Malik Woodland. They all started last year. Some of those guys started as sophomores, so they're really, really experienced. 2 of our 3 linebackers are coming back, and they made plays all over the field. In the back half, we're going to have to replace all 4.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of our question marks.
Yeah.
We've had some kids, younger kids, that have kind of stepped up there this summer and had really good summers. Mm-hmm. I like what they can become. We just got to see what they'll do, you know, as far as performance. There's a few kids back there that did play in spots and roles. But actually, we moved one of our safeties that started for us as a 9th grader, really good player. He'll be a sophomore. He's going to be one of our running backs.
Okay.
And then, so offensively, we're having to replace a few O-linemen, but we've had some kids step up there. We've made some moves. Moved one kid that was a tackle to a center. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to help us. But, you know, 2 of the big losses there is going to be our quarterback, Carson Lights, a 3-year starter. Yeah. You know, won as many games as anybody ever at the quarterback position at Northeast Jones. Mm-hmm. And Jaden Roberts, our best running back, fullback. So we'll have a senior that's been actually Carson's backup. Okay. Cade Mazingo. I'm really excited to see what he can do. Yeah. Been trying to push him to get more leadership and things like that, take charge and all those things. But talent-wise, he's off the charts. Arm talent, those things can run. He just committed to Jones as a pitcher. Yeah. So he's an excellent athlete. Yeah. And really excited to see what we can do in that offense. And then Bryson Dice played some last year as a 9th grader. He'll take the role of Jaden Roberts in the backfield. And he's got a chance to be really good. And a young kid, he'll be a sophomore.
There you go. All right, Coach. Well, we have run out of time, but we're really excited to cover y'all this year. Just looking at the schedule, the first game we've got for y'all is going to be when y'all play Lawrence County. So we're excited to have y'all in. So great, best of luck this season. I know that you know, we're hoping that now that we've got, you know, all these teams in the 5A and 6A and 7A and everything, that we can hopefully get multiple teams in the playoffs there, so Jones County can be well represented. Yep. So thanks for your time, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, when we come back, we're going to continue with Coach Cory Reynolds from West Jones, so stick around. Good Morning Pine Belt. We'll be right back from the Cannon Motor Studio. All right, here we go. We are back. Good morning, Pine Belt. We are back here live from the Cannon Motor Studio in beautiful, historic downtown Laurel, Mississippi. Our thanks to Coach Ryan Milner there from Northeast Jones High School. Exciting football coming up. We're going to continue that conversation with Coach Cory Reynolds here in just a second, but before I bring him in, I do want to mention that this segment of Good Morning Pine Belt is brought to you by McLaurin Carpets and Soso. I did that on purpose, Coach. Soso. From carpet to custom tile showers, every type of flooring in between, McLaurin Carpets has you covered for quality that will long be remembered after pricing is forgotten. You can go check out McLaurin Carpets today. They're just right off of Highway 28 there, or at McLaurinCarpets.com. Speaking of great things that happen in the big town of Soso, Mississippi, we are on now live with head coach of West Jones, the 2023. Yep, 2023. I have to look back at my my poster here behind me. State champions, my alma mater, and we're talking to Coach Cory Reynolds. And Coach, thanks for joining us this morning.
And thank you for having us. It's good to be here. Good to have a little Def Leppard intro too. So that's always good. Being an 80s kid.
My producer Michael in Hattiesburg, he's a big 80s late 70s, 80s guy, so he's put together a pretty good playlist for me there, so I always enjoy that. All right, Coach, we'll jump right in. Everybody knows, and obviously I'm a little biased, that West Jones over the last few decades has had a very storied history. But there was always that hill that we couldn't quite get over there. Y'all got over that in 2023. Now, that was 2 years ago. Last year, y'all had a great season. But talk a little bit about last season, coming off a state championship, and y'all lost a lot of guys. And what was it like? Because a lot of your players who were there were riding high, but I'm sure your message was, hey, that was last year, this is this year.
It was. There was a lot of concern about anytime you win a championship, you just think you're going to show back up the next year and it's going to happen again. And we lost a lot of great seniors on that defense. That was very historic, fun to coach, fun to watch. But beyond that, off the field, in the locker room, in the classroom, in the community, it was just a great group of kids. It's going to be some great young men. And going into the season, just preached about that team would never be together again, and everyone's going to be gunning for us. And had a great season starting out. And anytime you can have a championship season, you got to have a lot of luck and got to stay healthy. And didn't have a lot of injuries that first year. Just had a little nicks and and bruises in the course of the season. But quarterback got hurt second game of the season with his elbow, and really lost him as a quarterback for the whole year. Got him back late in the year for a couple games, and had a good season going into the last game of the season, 8-1 against Hattiesburg, playing for district championship on a short week on a Thursday. And that Tuesday lost two linemen, right guard and right tackle for the season, one with the knee, one with the back. Lose a close game to Hattiesburg. The following week, lose our starting center. Lose a close game to George County in the playoffs.
Barn burner to George County.
Great game. We scored right there late, and it was a great game. Played against a good quarterback that went to Auburn Deuce Night, and the fun game to watch from the stands point of view. But late in the year, if you're not healthy, you can't hold up. And we didn't as a team, just didn't finish, and disappointing because at that point we're 8-1, sitting in a good spot, and just didn't finish. And so this off season we're been thinking about do your job and finishing. So I'm assuming this off season, when you're in summer workouts, y'all are really pushing the importance, because a lot of, especially in high school, they're like, oh, I'm an athlete, I can do whatever I want, I can move around, but y'all are probably really pushing, hey, look, we saw what happened to us injury wise last year, we don't want that again. So has that been y'all's push this summer? It has, and it really hasn't been anything since when I first got there, and the years before that when Coach Pearson and all those guys were there. It's, what I love about there, it reminds me from where I grew up, Wayne County. It's we're going to work our tails off. We're going to outwork everybody else, and we get between those white lines on a Friday night. We're fixing to put those Rydell's on yours, and it's fixing to get scratched up pretty good. And so that part of it, I don't think has been, elevated or spoken more. There's an expectation of working hard and doing what we're supposed to do, and then those little things will take care of that, those injuries. And it wasn't like it was just something that could have been prevented. It was it was a major thing. And, like I said, it's the luck of the draw. I mean, football is a very fickle lady. She will break your heart, kind of like any sports. And just when you think you got something rolling, bam, something like you said, something that couldn't have been prevented happens. Well, Coach, I want to talk to you a little bit before we get into what's happening this season and everything. One thing that I asked Coach Milner, and I know you've talked about how great, and you've got a lot of kids coming back now, which is going to be, you had a young team last year. You got a lot of kids coming back now. When you're talking to your kids in this day and age, with college athletics being now what it is, all they see is Shedeur Sanders, showing his $60,000 watch, and people driving Bugattis up to practice, and they're 17 years old. How do you combat that? Because it is such a meat culture, but football is not a meat game. Well, it just goes back to rule number one in our program is do the right thing at the right time, and rule number two is handle yourself with class. And the next thing after that, it's all about the team. And anything outside of that, I really don't pay a lot of attention to it, don't really talk about it. We find out what we're good at and get better at that, and leave the other stuff out. It is going to come up at a point where all that stuff is going to trickle down into high school sports that we are going to have to talk about it. But I just finished up year 25, and hopefully by then the Lord's allowed me to do something else in life to work and pay the bills. But right now that stuff, I mean, the kids see it. It's just anything like us growing up. You see what the generation above you has or the celebrities have, and you always kind of want and wish. But once again, we got a great group of kids that focus on the little things.
Yeah.
Of getting better each day and control what we can control, and all that other stuff is just stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's important. I mean, especially if the kids seeing the seniors, the juniors, the sophomores, and the freshmen, if they seen the older kids doing it. Talk about that for just a second before we get into it. How important is it for the players to lead more than the coaches?
Well, and I've done this for years. All of our seniors, they clean the locker rooms, they clean the toilets, they eat last. It used to be, especially when I was growing up, all the seniors, the sophomores, freshmen, did all the work for them. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of reverse. We teach those guys to lead.
Yeah.
Those guys don't know how to be leaders unless they're taught. So you got to serve them. You got to show them what's important.
Yeah.
And, that locker room is a special place. The practice field is a special place. The weight room, that's the first place you got to fall in love with. And so we put everything on them taking care of it, good or bad. And so when it comes back down to it, now you do have some ownership in it.
Yeah.
I have cleaned those toilets, so y'all better make sure they're flushed and cleaned. And, we have swept out that weight room. Y'all quit bringing trash in here, knock your feet off.
Yeah.
Hey, we did have to clean that bus up. Quit bringing. So and that just gets on into the real world of taking care of your business and not waiting on somebody else to do it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's jump into this football season. Y'all, like I mentioned, obviously y'all had a younger team last year, but that means that you have an experienced team this year. So let's jump in. Just looking at y'all's schedule, I'll starting off with what's always a tough one in Laurel, and then Northeast, South Jones, North Pike, Wayne County, Petal. I mean, talk about that too. That's one thing that I've noticed, kind of a trend with our teams here in Jones County. Y'all like to start off tough, don't you?
We do, and that just sets the tone for the season. You find out where you're at, and that's a good measuring stick to open up first 3 or 4 games of the season with a good rival game. A lot of the coaches in those games have either grew up together, played together, coached together, have some kind of history, and so that makes it fun from that point of it. And then some of those guys have played in those games, those rival games, that Thursday night game to kick off the season against your cross-county rival. And that's a good way to do that. It gets the blood flowing, gets football season kicked off the right way, and gets and like I said earlier, it gets see where you're at as a measuring stick against everybody else heading into district play.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into your team specifically. Obviously, y'all came off a good year last year, but not quite the undefeated season that y'all had 2 years ago. But if I know any coach, I know that it's one game at a time. The only game you're focused on, honestly, is probably the game against Seminary in the Jamboree, and then you move on. What are you specifically looking forward to this year? I know that, like I told Coach Milner, it's hard for any coach to call out specific players, and you can if you want to, but what are you looking for, and what can fans be expecting this year?
I said earlier, good, hard-nosed team that's going to take care of the football and run to it on defense and do great things in the kicking game. We always talk about, the most important play you ever played in your life is the next one. The most important game you ever played in your life is the next one, because that's the only one you get ready for. And so getting ready for, once again, we got a jamboree at Jones College with all the county schools there. So that's getting everybody there together, the excitement of that, getting to watch some of the other kids that you're going to play against here in the upcoming weeks, get after somebody else. And makes it fun, makes it interesting, kind of gets the blood flowing for the fans, and sometimes that gets to chirping early, and so that makes it interesting. Yeah. So then they show up the next Friday night and pay the $10, and we get after it.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, because there's nothing like Friday night football, especially here in the South. I mean, there's really nothing like it, is there?
No, there's not. I started out coaching in Birmingham. I got friends that coach everywhere else, and just Friday nights are special. You get the band playing, the cheerleaders cheering, you got the smell of the grill cooking, the field's been cut, and it's just the excitement of it, whether you're playing, whether you're going to watch it, getting ready to coach it, getting ready to announce the game. And it's just a great community involvement that it's kind of you don't have anywhere else. I know, like, opening day in baseball is always a special thing, but this is so much different because it gets so many people involved from different aspects of life. And around here, I mean, some places in the South, I mean, they shut the town down. Yeah. It's over. Like, you could rob it blind if you want to, because it's such a family community affair, and that's what makes it special. It
really is. And West Jones is a special place, and really all across our county we don't just have special places, but one thing that I've found, and you can attest, coaches, all of the coaches here in Jones County, they care more about the kids as people than they do players.
We do, and that's what makes it this profession a calling. If you're just in it, well, we don't get paid a lot of money. We make a living, but if you're so-called in it for the job, the paycheck, you're going to be miserable, and you're going to negatively impact a lot of kids' lives.
Yeah.
And it's like the ministry, it's a calling, and got to make sure you're doing it for the right reason and make those young men into men one day that's going to be great husbands and fathers and workers in the community.
That's what it's about. Well, Coach Reynolds, we appreciate your time. Best of luck this season. I know we're starting off. Our first Jones County game of the week is the West Jones versus Laurel game, the old Hicks versus Slicks, as we used to call it back in the day. So best of luck again. I'm sure we'll talk to you again before the season's over, and best of luck this season, Coach. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, when we come back, we're going to be wrapping it up with Mr. Greg Dickerson, circuit clerk here in Jones County. So stick around. Good morning, Pine Belt. We'll be right back from the Cannon Motor Studio.
This is Good Morning Pine Belt on SuperTalk Laurel 99.3.
All right, here we go. Good morning, Pine Belt. We are back. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Live from the Cannon Motor Studio in beautiful, historic downtown Mississippi. Our thanks to Coach Cory Reynolds there from West Jones, big city of So-So. Exciting football season coming up, which we will get into quite a bit next month with our play-by-play Caleb Hamill there. So stick around. You want to catch that when it comes up. Before we bring in our final guest of the day, I do want to mention that this segment of Good Morning Pine Belt is brought to you by Community Bank, local bankers, local decisions, and plenty of convenient locations. Also, too, before I forget, because knowing me, I probably will if we get into this conversation, you can now listen back to Good Morning Pine Belt. I know I mentioned it before. We are working on getting it into the podcast world, Apple, Audible, Stitcher, that whole 9 yards. We are finishing, hopefully, the final touches on that, and that should be available soon. But it is now available if you go back and search SuperTalk Laurel or Good Morning Pine Belt on YouTube. You can go check out any shows. We just started, so we'll have last week's shows, this week's shows, and anything moving forward. So you can go back and listen in to us on YouTube now, and very soon you'll be listening to us on all the podcast platforms. All right, joining us now, the circuit clerk, there it is, from Jones County is Mr. Greg Dickerson, or as I've known him my whole life as Mr. Red. How you doing this morning, sir?
Great. Glad to be here, Ben.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to jump right in because a lot of people now know, because we won't get into it, but a hot topic right now is the Senate races going on here in Jones County. But a lot of people may not know why. They just maybe see the signs and see the things on Facebook. That's what I want to talk about, Mr. Greg, is why we're doing this. Why are we having this election kind of at a random time? It seems like we just had these elections. So why are we having these?
Well, it's determined, or it has to change every 10 years, I believe it is, due to the census that is taken every 10 years. I think in 22, this process was started, and it's actually just taken till now to get all the lines agreed upon for us to proceed with an election.
Okay, so the lines have been redrawn. I know that we were talking off air what affected Jones County. We actually had more than one district actually affected, right?
Yes, we have two Senate districts in Jones County. We have Senate District 34 and 42. And at this time, Juan Barnett is the senator for District 34, and Robin Robinson is our Senate for District 42. District 34 is unopposed, so we will not be having an election for District 34.
Okay.
Only the people or the precincts located in District 42 will actually have an election on August 5th.
Okay. All right, so let's go into somebody may be listening, because honestly, up until probably 4 or 5 years ago, I really didn't pay too much attention to where I was at and everything. Somebody's listening, they're like, I don't have a clue what district I'm in. Mm-hmm. How do they find that out?
There's been some maps going around, and some of them are accurate, and some of them that I've seen here or there are not as accurate. I did see one that the Laurel Leader Call had put out this past weekend, and that looks to be the most accurate map that I've seen available. And I think people can go on Laurel Leader Call's page and view that map. I guess kind of what I'm telling people is we mailed out some registration cards a couple of weeks ago, and the people that were in certain districts, if you were in 42 and you've been voting in 42 for 10 years, there's no reason for you to think that you've changed unless you see a map that states that. Or we did try to get out new registration cards to anybody that was affected in this change. But only to the people that was affected in the change. So that would be a good scale to go by.
So if you didn't get a card, you probably weren't affected.
That's correct.
But if you want to be sure, can they call over to your office?
They can call my office at 601-425-2556. We'll be glad to look it up for you. Or you can go on the Secretary of State's website, go to Y'all Vote, and should be able to find some information there as well.
All right, so for the people who are voting in District 42, where are the polling locations there in District 42?
District 42, if you've got just a moment, I'll read these out, and this will help. District 42, these precincts, everybody in these particular precincts that I'm going to read off, do vote in 42, and that's going to be Big Creek, Calhoun, Centerville, Matthews, Pleasant Ridge, Glade, Myrick, Ovette, Ruston, Sandersville, Tucker's Crossing, Antioch, Landrum, Johnson, Moselle, Pine Grove, Rainey, Shelton, and Union. If you live in any of those precincts that I just read off, you are included in this District 42 election. I have some other precincts that are split precincts, and that means part of the people in the precinct live in District 34, some of the people live in 42.
All right. Well, we've got just a second if you want to read those off.
I do, and if you have a question as to whether you live in either one of these precincts and need to know if you are involved in the election, you can call my office. But the districts that are split are Shady Grove, Sharon, Soso, Spring Hill Malden, Powers, Blackwell, George Harrison, First Assembly of God in Ellisville, and Merchants Park.
There you go.
If you live in any of those, you may be in 34, you may be in 42. You can call our office and find out.
Call the office, find out, but get out and vote is the most important thing. Mr. Gregg, we appreciate you coming in. I appreciate your time, and hopefully we can get some people out to vote next Tuesday.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here, Ben.
All right, that does it for Good Morning Pine Belt. But, hey, we'll talk to you tomorrow from the Cannon Motor Studio. Middays with Gerard is up next. Go see Rocky over at K-Rocks.